Hello everybody, how are you all? I hope you are all fine. Today we are going to learn about a new and interesting chapter, that is chapter number 18, Forest and their Conservation. Children, if I say you the word forest, what picture will be there in your mind? A place which is surrounded by trees, shrubs and all, isn't it? Yes, a place which is a natural habitat for plants and animals. So now let us learn about forest and their conservation. Children, now let's learn a mind map for this chapter. So mind map here, this is about forest. So as I said, forest is an area with large number of trees that serves as a natural habitat for animals and plants. Clear children? Yes. Now first we are going to learn about ecosystem. What is that? Ecosystem. What do you mean by ecosystem? Ecosystem consists of living and non-living components. It consists of living and non-living components. So under this topic we are going to learn about producers, herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, food chains, food web. Okay. Then the next part of this chapter is about functions of forest. So it is categorized into three main functions. What are they? Productive functions, protective functions and regulatory functions. Productive, protective and regulatory. So under productive functions we are going to learn about the functions about wood, medicinal plants and oils, where we are getting all these things from trees, forest. Okay, so that's what about productive function. Next category is protective function. Protective functions of forest. So under this topic we are going to learn about which reduces air pollution, solar radiation and all. Clear? Then next we are going to learn about regulatory function of forest. So here we are going to learn about maintaining the balance of carbon dioxide and oxygen. So all these are three different categories of functions. We are going to learn about functions. Next thing we are going to learn about deforestation. What is that? Deforestation. What do you mean by deforestation? Cutting down of trees on a very large scale is called deforestation. So we are going to learn about deforestation. Next we are going to learn about afforestation. What is that? Afforestation. So what do you mean by afforestation? Planting of more trees is called as afforestation. So we are going to learn about all these things in detail in this chapter. Children, now let's start the chapter, forest and their conservation. So as I said, forest is a place which is surrounded by trees, isn't it? Yes. Forest is a vast land area occupied of different types by trees. The trees might be small, medium or tall, okay, by trees, shrubs, animals and microorganisms. All these things will be there in a forest. Forest covers about 30% of the land on earth and it forms an important natural resource. Clear? Then we are going to learn about the forest which is there in India. Forest in India. So according to research, 33% land area, 33% of each country land area should be covered with forest. As per the analysis, around 24.39% land of India is covered by the forest. Is covered by the forest. Clear? So now, among all the states in India, Madhya Pradesh has maximum area covered under forest. It has maximum area which is covered under forest. So there are different types of forest in India. Not only one type of forest, there are different types of forest. In arid zone, what do you mean by the word arid zone? Arid zone means which does not have water, sufficient amount of water, lack of water. Clear? In arid zone like Rajasthan, it's a desert place, isn't it? Yes. In arid zone like Rajasthan, due to scanty rainfall, xerophytic scrub forest are found. Xerophytic scrub forest are found. So what do you mean by the word xerophytic? Which has little amount of liquid or water. Clear? So in arid zone, because there is little rainfall, xerophytic scrub forest are found. Clear? Then in tropical zone, it will be to some extent warm. Tropical zone like the Western Ghats, evergreen forests are found. Then in temperate zone, coniferous forests are predominant. So like this, there are so many different types of forests. There are many intermediate forests also. The distribution of forest is basically governed by the amount of rainfall in that particular area. Clear? So now let's learn about this in detail. Children, now let's learn about ecosystem in a forest. So first, what do you mean by ecosystem? Ecosystem consists of both living and non-living components. Okay, it consists of living and non-living components. Both are interacting with each other, that is living and non-living components are interacting with each other in a forest to make the forest a dynamic ecosystem. Then plants and animals are interdependent. Both need them, both the things, that is plants and animals, both of them are needed for their survival. Okay, they utilize resources from the environment. And either make their own food, or else derive it from other organisms. Almost all plants make their own food. Isn't it? Yes. Plants make their own food. That's why plants are known as producers. Then plants serve as a main source of food for herbivores. So herbivores will intake plants. Herbivores are then eaten by small carnivores. That are in turn eaten by big carnivores. So small carnivores are eaten by big carnivores. The next stage is omnivores. Omnivores that eat both plants and animals. Will eat both plants and animals. For example, man. These linkages of plants and animals where an organism is eaten by other forms the food chain. It forms the food chain. The interconnected food chains form food web. What is that? Food web. That is what about ecosystem in a forest. Now children, you can see the picture. You can see the picture, that is a simple food chain. Isn't it? Yes. So what are they? What are the things which are there in the food chain? Producer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, and then tertiary consumer. So what are they? Plants, green plants, and then grasshopper, then bluebird, then snake and owl. Isn't it? Yes. So here they are described about food chain. Here they have mentioned, you can see the green plants. Okay. So this green plants intaken by grasshopper. The grasshopper that eats the grass directly. Isn't it? Yes. The grasshopper eats the grass. So that's why it is called as primary consumer. Primary consumer. Then the bluebird. The bluebird eats the grasshopper and not the grass. It will eat the grasshopper. It is indirectly dependent on plants. It is not directly taking green plants, but still it is taking the grasshopper, where the grasshopper is eating the grass. Isn't it? Yes. So it is indirectly, this bluebird is indirectly dependent on plants, and that is called as secondary consumer. It is known as secondary consumer. Then snake. The snake eats the bluebird and itself, that is eaten by the owl. Snake eats the bluebird and the snake is eaten by the owl. The snake and owl will be the tertiary consumer. Tertiary consumer. Then scavengers such as jackals, hyenas and vulture consume the dead animals and left over by the carnivores. So it is continued by jackal, hyena and vulture, which consume the dead animals and the leftover by the carnivores. Leftover by the carnivores. Other microorganisms such as fungi and bacteria, that is called as decomposers. They feed on dead plants and animals to finally produce humus and return the nutrients to the soil. The decompose will mix with the soil and it will be turned or transferred as nutrients. Okay, it's transferred to nutrients which will be there in the soil. In this way, the decomposers help in recycling of nutrients in nature. Clear children? Yes. Children, now you can see the picture. This picture is about a food web. What is this? A food web. So what is this food web? Several food chains that are interconnected. Several food chains that are interconnected form a food web. So what you can see in this picture? Plants, caterpillar, snake and owl. This is one food chain, isn't it? Yes. Now again here some green plants or grasses. Here it is intaken by grasshopper and then bird birds are intaken by owl. And here green plants which are intaken by rabbit and then eagle, isn't it? So many food chains are there. So several food chains that are interconnected form a food web. Plants are not only eaten by animals. Plants are not only eaten by animals such as cow and deer. It is also intaken by insects such as grasshopper. And these grasshoppers are eaten by frogs. Grasshoppers are eaten by frogs, which in turn are eaten by bigger animals such as snakes, eagle and peacocks. These animals are again eaten by carnivores. They are again intaken by carnivores. So, the food chains which are interconnected is the food web, forms the food web. So, this is one example for food web. Clear, children? Yes. There are several food chains which are interconnected, and that is what? Food web. So, we find several food chains here, and that is food web. Children, now let us learn about energy flow in a food chain. Okay. So, we all know sun is the ultimate source of energy. It is the ultimate source of energy on the earth. So, here plant traps solar energy. It traps the solar energy from the sun and converts the solar energy, convert it into chemical energy. So, solar energy is transferred to chemical energy during photosynthesis. Okay. The plants are eaten by herbivores. They are intaken by herbivores, and herbivores are then eaten by carnivores. Herbivores are intaken by carnivores. So, the energy flows or energy passes from the sun to producer, and from producer to consumer, that is from one level to the another. Clear? So, therefore, a food chain can also be called as energy flow chain. What is that? Energy flow chain. This flow of energy is unidirectional. It is unidirectional, as the energy cannot revert to the previous level. It cannot revert to the previous level. In a food chain, if one member is affected, you know about the food chain now. So, now if one of the member is affected, the others get affected. Who is intaking that will also get affected, isn't it? Yes. The others get affected, which disturbs the balance of nature. For example, if a food chain comprises of grass, grasshopper and frog, and if frog becomes extinct, what is that? Frog becomes extinct. What do you mean by that? Extinct means which have a reduction in population, number. Clear? So, if the number is being reduced, automatically the number of grasshopper would increase, isn't it? Yes, the number of grasshopper would increase rapidly, and there would be an acute shortage of grass. There would be an acute shortage of grass. Why? Because there is an increase in grasshopper count for other herbivores. So, shortage of grass for other herbivores. Then, soon the herbivores would starve to death, which in turn will impact the carnivores and the whole food chain gets disturbed. So, again here it will, the herbivores, since there is no plants, it would starve to death, which in turn will impact the carnivores and the whole food chain gets disturbed. Thus, a balance is always needed in nature. Clear, children? Yes. So, children, now we are going to learn about importance of forest. Okay. So, importance of forest. They are very important for mankind. Forests are very important for mankind. So, the main functions of forest, they are categorized into three, that is productive, protective and regulatory. Productive function, protective function and regulatory. Clear? So, first let us learn about productive function. So, productive. So, here first is about wood. We are getting wood from trees, isn't it? Yes, wood is used as a fuel and for making paper and furniture. It is used for making paper and furniture. Then match industry, rubber and fiber industry. All these things depend on forest products. Is it not? Yes. Then medicinal plants like neem, amla, eucalyptus and cinchona. All these things are products of forest. Isn't it? Yes. Oils such as sandalwood are obtained from forest. Clear? Yes. Now, so these are the things. Next, along with that, many food items such as fruits, seeds, spices, tea and coffee beans, all these things are different food products which are obtained from forest. Okay. So, this is what about productive function. Now, let us learn about protective function. So, forests act as shelter for many organisms. It acts as shelter for many organisms. Clear? We can live there. Many organisms can live there, isn't it? Yes. Trees planted along roads and highways help to reduce air pollution. It helps to reduce air pollution which is caused by vehicles. Clear? Then protection from solar radiation. Solar radiation is also provided by forest. So, here in the forest is protecting from solar radiation. Clear? So, this is what about protective function. Next thing is about regulatory function. What is that? Regulatory function. Forest helps in maintaining the balance of carbon dioxide and oxygen in the atmosphere. Clear? So, it helps to maintain a balance between carbon dioxide and oxygen in the atmosphere. Then, forests can hold a large amount of water. It can hold a large amount of water which helps to recharge groundwater. So, this water will help to recharge the groundwater so that it will prevent drought. Clear? Then, due to large area covered with vegetation, forests prevent air pollution and global warming. It prevents air pollution and global warming. So, these are the different functions of forest. Clear? Yes. Now, children, now let us learn about forest as a self-sustaining ecosystem. Okay? Forest as self-sustaining ecosystem. So, the balance which is maintained in the ecosystem is called as ecological balance, is known as ecological balance. The balance maintained in the ecosystem, is known as the ecological balance. the living components which comprises of animals, plants and microorganisms are in the constant interaction. Living beings are in the constant interaction with the non-living or physical environment. So, both the living and non-living things are getting interacted together to bring a physical dynamic environment. Okay. The plants and animals in a forest are interdependent. They are interdependent. The interaction among various organisms in the forest is shown in the form of food chains, isn't it? So many organisms are having interaction that we can learn from the food chain, which involve the transfer of energy from one level to the other. So, if the plants are intaken by grasshopper, the energy from the plants is getting transferred to the grasshopper, isn't it? Like that. The soil of forest gets naturally replenished by the decomposition of dead organic matter. What I said? The soil of forest gets naturally replenished by the decomposition of dead organic matter. So, automatically for a time period, if suppose the dead and decayed organic matter retains in the soil, automatically it naturally replenish the soil, okay, which become more nutritious. Then decomposers feed on this dead. Decomposers feed on this dead and decaying matter and convert it into dark colored nutrients rich substances, that is called humus. What is that? Humus. So, in this way the nutrients are returned to the soil. Nutrients are returned to the soil and are again used by the plants. The nutrients are again used by the plants and trees to develop food for animals. A forest is hence said to be self-sustaining. That's why a forest is also called as self-sustaining. Clear? Yes. Yes, children. Now, let us learn about deforestation. So, what do you mean by deforestation? Cutting of trees. Okay. Cutting of trees on a large scale. This situation is called deforestation. It can lead to destruction of several plant and animal species. It also leads to soil erosion. Removal of trees on a large scale affects the water cycle. So, if you are removing the trees, automatically it affects the water cycle, alters the level of carbon dioxide and oxygen in the atmosphere. Okay. It will alter the level of carbon dioxide and oxygen level in the atmosphere. So, that which will further increase the temperature of environment due to carbon dioxide levels. Clear? So, this situation is called global warming. So, we have to take some steps to protect the forest. Clear, children? Yes. Yes, children. Now, let us learn about forest conservation. What is that? Forest conservation. So, forest conservation, planting of more trees is known as afforestation. First of all, about afforestation. So, what do you mean by deforestation? When you are cutting trees, that is said to be as deforestation. But what do you mean by afforestation? When you are planting trees, that is called as afforestation. Clear? People should be encouraged to use biofuel instead of wood. People should be encouraged to use biofuel. so that forest will be, we can protect the forest, isn't it? Yes, forests have to be converted into conserved areas such as wildlife sanctuaries, national parks and biodiversity parks. In all these things, cutting of trees and killing of animals should be prohibited. Clear? Then, joint forest management. That is JFM in short. Okay. So, this is a program. It is actually a partnership between the State Forest Department and the local communities. State Forest Department and the local communities. It is a program. So, this JFM is a program to save the forest, but at the same time it also ensures that the local people dependent on these forests do not lose their livelihood. Clear, children? Yes. So, this is what about forest conservation. Now, children, I am going to explain to you about soil erosion. So, what do you mean by soil erosion? Soil erosion is a displacement of upper layer of soil. So, it is a form of soil degradation. Now, I have kept here 3 plastic bags. This is A, this is B and this is C. So, here inside this plastic bag is filled with soil. Okay. So, A only soil and B soil covered with dry leaves. What is that? Dry leaves. And the third one, that is C, soil covered with some plants. Clear? Yes. Now, I am going to pour water over all these 3 bags. Okay. So, now let us see. Children, now I am going to pour the water in the first container. So, water you can see in the top layer. Okay. Then I am doing the same in the next bag, which is filled with soil and some dry leaves. Okay. And then again I am doing the same in the third one. Okay. So, now let us see the water which is coming out from this. Children, now you can see the water which is coming out from this. It's turbid, isn't it? Yes. Children, now I am doing the same in the second. So, here you can see the water which is less turbid than the first one. Okay. Yes. Now, let us check the third one. Children, now you can see the third water. Okay. So, here it's clean water. Children, here you can see all the 3. So, here because the roots of the plant will keep the soil firm, it prevents the soil erosion. So, soil erosion will be more in the soil layer alone. Okay. Here the water which is coming out from the top layer will be more turbid, and the second one which is covered with dry leaves will be less turbid, and with plants will be clean. The roots of the plants will keep the soil firm and it prevents the soil erosion. Clear children? Yes. Now children, activity for you all. Okay. So list out some methods to conserve forest. List out some methods to conserve forest. For example, afforestation. What is that? You have to plant trees. Planting trees. Then another example, using biofuel instead of wood. Instead of wood, you want to use biofuel. So like that there are so many methods. So you want to list out the methods to conserve forest. Prepare it and take a photocopy and forward it in your class email ID. That is your activity. So children, with this we have come to an end of this chapter. Hope you all understood well. So let us meet in the next class. Thank you.